Hey, welcome to Pat's Chat. I'm in a car driving home from the airport. I'm here with Michael Hurley. Michael, how you doing?
I'm not in the car, so disappointing for all the listeners to not have another car chat. I know I'm sorry. So I'll bring some professionalism to this podcast, which I usually do, dragging your amateur ass around. But this is again indicative of guys that know they live for ball with ball being podcasts.
We'll do anything to podcast. I don't know how well people can see me right now. I'm being a very responsible driver, but I'm
You're
driving home
actually
from the airport.
I'm gonna limit my
Yes.
interruptions of you because of this, but it's like the camera is ever so slightly clicking away from you, which makes it even better. It's like sliding a little bit. And it's like now we're losing the nostrils, now we're losing the eyes, but
Uh
we're
oh.
gonna we're gonna we're
Uh
gonna be
oh.
fine.
All right.
It's fine.
We're gonna be good. Okay, so I am driving home from the airport. I'm home from Minnesota. I watched 2 days of joint practices between the Patriots and the Vikings, and it was an eventful 2 days. Were you scouring the clips for everything that was going on during these joint practices?
Actually, yes. Shout out to all the Vikings fans who posted all the videos. That was helpful. And I actually, I
Yeah.
was I was I was following these pretty closely from afar. And I have a ton of questions for you as being someone who was there and based on some of the things I've seen coming out of it. So I'll get to those. But I guess big picture. Start big picture and then we'll go small. You have a very good Vikings team. The Patriots
Yeah.
didn't win every rep, didn't win every battle, but seemed like they acquitted themselves well. Is that a fair summation of the 2 days?
I would say that overall, big, huge picture, yes. Like they were more competitive, better than I expected them to be over the course of the 2 days. And like this is a Vikings team without Justin Jefferson and a Patriots team without Christian Gonzalez. So like is that a little bit more imbalanced favoring the Patriots? Maybe, but like two the best player on the Vikings and quite possibly the best player on the Patriots both were not on the field. So like I feel like that evens things out enough, right?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah, sure.
So, yes, overall, I would say big picture, the Patriots, I would even say, were the better team on Wednesday, which was relatively shocking. I was watching the defense that day, and pass rush was constantly in JJ McCarthy's face. He was bailing early by the end of practice because he was facing so much pressure. Offense did pretty well that day, allowing some pressures, but Drake Maye had some big plays that kind of made up for a lot of that. Wasn't as
Yeah.
pretty on Thursday. Um, Lots of pressure. Drake Maye played well. Receivers weren't getting open very much. And I didn't watch a lot of the defense, but according to my colleague Andrew Callahan, and based on what I saw, Patriots weren't getting as much pressure on Thursday, which was interesting. I'm not sure why that was,
Your
but
uh,
I have some
pal,
I have some theories.
your pal Andrew, he used the S word.
Oh yeah,
He said the
they were
defense was
shredded.
getting shredded, which
Yeah,
jumped out because obviously it didn't seem like a great day for that Minnesota offense the day before. So I don't know whether a day of intel helped or whether they got slapped in the neck by their pretty mild mannered head coach. So I doubt that was the case, but they definitely seemed like a better team day two. But I don't know.
I
It was
I actually talked to Vikings right tackle Brian O'Neill, a Boston Herald exclusive, and I tried to word it as like I don't know, politely as possible, and was like, "You guys let up a lot of pressure yesterday, and it looked a lot better today. What was going on with that?" And he just said that they did a much better. Like I think it was like a day of prep. He said that they did a much better job of like picking up stunts, picking up games. Like the day of practicing against them, I think really helped for the second practice, which I don't know. I mean, like that's not realistic in the NFL. You don't get to play a team 2 days in a row.
mm.
So if anything, I think that kind of works in the Patriots' favor moving forward.
There's science and psychology behind like knowing what you're dealing with. So you're right. In the
Yeah,
NFL, you play one game, but you know that if you know you have 2 days, there is
that is
ele- there
true.
are
Yeah.
there are elements that creep in and can psychologically derail maybe your focus and urgency because you know that it's not there. But
It's also
I
not a game, so it doesn't actually matter.
well, nothing really matters.
Yeah,
Games don't even matter if you really want to zoom out on the macro level. But I will ask
that's
you this,
fair.
Doug, because I saw a lot of people, like people I trust, people that I think were people that are accurate reporters. So I want to get a better understanding of this. And I don't know exactly what you said, but I saw a lot of people say the Patriots offense looked pretty good yesterday. Drake Maye acquitted himself very well, despite giving up the offensive line, giving up what? I don't know how many sacks. It was 6 sacks the day before, maybe 5 sacks yesterday.
I
How?
counted 5. Yeah.
How then, Doug? How is the offense getting positive reviews despite 11 stacks of Drake Maye in I don't know how many periods? Like this seems like a disaster to me, and no one's really passing that along. So help me out.
So I would not say positive things about the offense yesterday. I know that other people have, but like Drake May himself was not to blame. So maybe that's what people are saying or seeing or whatever. Like Drake May didn't like he didn't seem overly bothered by the pressure. He wasn't turning the ball over. He didn't seem overly flustered. But like I was watching Will Campbell a ton. Will Campbell let up 2 sacks to Jonathan Grenard. He allowed another pressure that could have been a sack. Michael Wenu, I think, let up a sack. Morgan Moses let up a sack. So, like, I would not say positive things about the offense based on the team period yesterday. And I have seen other people saying positive things, and I've kind of scratched my head about it a little bit because that's not what I was seeing. That's not like what I was talking about with other people that I was watching the offense with. Because I mean, Jonathan Grenard is a very, 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 very good player. He had 2 back-to-back seasons with 12 and a half sacks or something like that. Um, but I like Will Campbell was obviously a problem in yesterday's practice, and that's not to say that he will be all year. I also talked to Jonathan Grenard after practice just to be like, "What'd you think of Will Campbell?" I was really boots on the ground in Minnesota, as you can tell. I was working real hard, and he was saying that like a young player like that just needs repetitions, and that like a rookie left tackle is basically not going to be like ready to be an all pro right away, which is something that we've been saying for weeks, if not months now at this point, that like even if Will Campbell looks like this in the beginning part of the season, doesn't mean that this is what he's going to look like all year. And certainly doesn't mean like that certainly doesn't mean that he's going to be a bust if he is allowing sacks early in the season.
Yeah, and next to him, obviously, there was a Swaparooski at left guard, which
Yes.
caught a lot of. There was a snap I saw on Twitter and excuse me on X. It's the everything app. I saw one snap, and I think the tweet framed it as like Will Campbell gives up the sack here, and I watched it, and he gave up a sack. It was like a crossover move to the outside, so he got beat to the outside. But on that same snap, Ben Brown got bull rushed back into the
Yeah.
quarterback. Garrett Bradbury got absolutely smoked on his. And when you let his guy through, and Morgan Moses was looking to block someone but had nobody to block, so it was like I don't want to like change the narrative on Will Campbell getting beat there, but it just I saw that one snap and it was like, oh, I've seen this movie before, and it's troublesome. That's the nice way of putting it. It was a flashback to last year where you're saying, oh, there's a lot. My takeaway, I guess, is there seems to be a long way to go on that O line and not a lot of time. Yeah, I left you speechless.
I lost you. Hopefully you really sell amazing point. I'm good now. I'm
This is
with no service.
yeah. We got you back. I was said this,
Do
Doug.
you
I
not hear me?
said I do now.
Yeah.
I said a long way to go for that offensive line, but not so much time to get there.
No, it's true. And like there was another rep which I don't think was caught on film. That like Jonathan Grenard just ran basically right on the outside, right by Will Campbell. Like Will Campbell could only push him. He like tried to shove him, but then Grenard just like turned the corner and tapped Drake May. So that was the rep that you're talking about is certainly one where like everyone was not doing their jobs on it, and you hope that that gets fixed before week one. But as you're saying, like there's not a lot of time to fix it. So I don't think the offensive line is going to be perfect or anywhere close to it week one. I think that this, I don't know, gives some reality to the situation that it's not going to be pretty right away.
I'm just going to stare and hope that Doug's point concludes. It's not. Doug is in outer space, floating through the ether. I hope he's okay. This is podcast history, as one of the co-hosts has entered a different dimension and no longer is on my plane of existence. But at least we talked O-line instead of receivers first. But I did want to get to receivers next if Doug ever rejoins us, because that's kind of part and parcel for the passing game. I'm wondering, and I'll throw this to Doug if he ever rejoins us. If not, I'll just talk to myself or anyone out there. I'll throw the comment section open. Um, Maybe they just can't pass. No, Doug's completely gone. He'll come back. Maybe they just don't pass this year. Maybe the Patriots throw 0 passes and Drake Maye is the third running back and they just run the ball because Will Campbell can run block. I'm going to bounce from one window to the next while we wait for Doug to rejoin. Maybe that's just the solution. They can't pass block, so they're just going to run. That's obviously a hilarious joke, but I don't know. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. I wasn't there. Nobody flew me out to Minnesota, but I don't know. I'm glad Doug didn't have a major A+ grade on the offense, because I saw so many good things said about the offense, and I don't know how you can say that when you give up as many sacks as they did. But I think we've covered the offensive line. I am going to bring up the next topic and bring Doug up to speed, because I feel as though, even though it is a wide receiver topic, we have to next talk. Oh, he's coming back. He's coming back. He's a circle. This is exciting. I hope you have 5G. There he is. I hear him.
So my phone overheated.
Oh, the
So
dashboard will do that to you.
So I'm holding it now by the air conditioning. I'm not looking at it. Safe. Don't worry, everyone. I apologize to everyone. This is not how our original car pod went. And maybe this is a good lesson that this isn't always going to be a sustainable way of podcasting.
Well, it's a reminder that the sun is undefeated. There is no defeating the sun. So keep that thing off the dashboard.
Don't tell that to Tom Brady.
That's true. I wrapped up our offensive line conversation. I said, you know what? Worst case, they just don't pass this year and they only run and they'll be fine. So I have a topic for you. Because it has been a drama-free training camp, would you say?
Pretty much. I think that there might be some manufactured drama about Stefon Diggs at times, but otherwise, yeah.
Well, previously maybe, but I don't know. Yesterday felt a little different because you had. I mean, I guess this is kind of a universal statement. Vrabel was pissed off at the morning press conference, being asked about Steph Diggs.
It was interesting. Yeah, because I don't know if you saw, Diggs talked to Diana Rossini.
Mm-hmm.
She asked him if he was going to be ready for week 1. And I just don't know Stefon Diggs enough, I guess, at this point well enough to know when he's being coy. I know that he kind of winked while saying oh, I'm not sure. I'm not getting too excited. The coaches aren't getting too excited or whatever. So when you don't know a player to that degree, the only thing you can really do is take them at face value. So Phil Perry asked Vrabel, Diggs said this about week 1, and then Vrabel got kind of testy. He was questioning the authenticity of Georgetown University, I think.
I know, and I got to be honest, not to start a war.
Uh-oh.
I think Georgetown has higher academic standards than Ohio State. That's just my opinion. I do believe Phil Perry, and so that Phil was obviously involved in that. And then later in the day, on the show Quick Slant, I just have to focus on what Phil said because I have to ask you about it. Phil said that Stefon Diggs no longer looks like a number 1 receiver. And he said it's been a quiet camp. You know, he popped early and has been quiet since. And then added something to the effect of, because when they got Diggs, I wasn't for the Diggs signing because I think of the sideline blow-ups and all of that stuff we've seen with Josh Allen. You don't want that with your second-year quarterback. He was asked straight up, is he worth the headache? And it was, at this point, if it's a big headache, not really, because he doesn't look like a 1,000-yard number 1 receiver. Tell me about Steph Diggs on the field and how he looked in maybe full 11 on 11, because I hear he's not exactly popping the way that you might expect.
So it's kind of funny because he looks incredible in 1-on-1s, looks really good in 7-on-7s, and then he just kind of disappears during team drills, which tells me that he is maybe just kind of turning it on and off. Or
Mm.
maybe like this is part of the team's plan for him to be like, all right, give it a full go in these 1-on-1 and 7-on-7s because like maybe it's not as like dangerous for you. Or maybe it's a conscious decision from Diggs to be like, I'm going to go full go 100% during half of every practice. You know what I mean? And like for a guy who's 9 months removed from ACL surgery, might not be a bad idea.
Mm.
But I do think it leads to the question of, are you not, first of all, are you going 100%? And second of all, if you're not going 100%, why? And the issue now is that Diggs talked to us collectively as the media once in the spring, once in the first week of training camp, and he has not spoken since then. So, like, we can't ask him those questions, which unfortunately does then lead to like speculation of like, what's going on? Like, are we like, what can we expect when the season starts? Are you going to be 100% full go? Because like there were moments during 1-on-1s and 7-on-7s where you're like, yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy who's going to be the number one wide receiver. But he's almost never targeted during 11-on-11s. He's only on the field a partial part of the time as well.
And then a lot was sort of they were looping in a lot of people. Todd Downing's comments from weekend, where he basically
Right.
said Diggs needs to refine some of his work and not focus on the results, but focus on the process and be where Josh and Drake expect you to be, which I don't know. You kind of maybe it's just boilerplate talking about a new player and a new system situation, but
Right.
I guess when it's a player of Diggs's caliber, you're not maybe expecting a comment along those lines.
No, it's true. And I think that because Diggs isn't speaking for himself right now,
Mm,
you do kind of have to dissect every comment made about him. Because Mac Holland said something kind of similar where like he knows when to like turn it on and turn it off, all these different things. So like it does kind of force you to parse out every comment like this. Ultimately, I'm kind of the belief that I think Diggs is going to be fine. I'm
okay.
seeing enough in 1-on-1s and 7-on-7s. I think that when you sign Stefon Diggs, you do know that like it's not going to be like dealing with Demario Douglas. You know what I mean?
Mm, hmm.
Like
Not
it's
a
you're
6th round
not going
pick
to
out of
be,
Liberty.
or yeah, it's just going to like, yeah, and sure, Stefon Diggs was a 5th round pick out of Maryland, but he's
Yeah.
a multi-time pro Bowler for a reason, and he has a certain personality, and um, I think that he just kind of runs hot and cold. Even I was talking to Vikings beat writers out in Minnesota, and I was like, "Yeah, Diggs hasn't talked to us since the first week of training camp," and they were like, "Oh, no way, really?" Because apparently that's something that they kind of dealt with when Stephon Diggs was there. Didn't talk a whole lot. Same thing happened in Buffalo. So I
Yeah.
think you just don't really know what you're going to get from him from our perspective. And that might be the same thing from the team's perspective, but as long as he's performing on the field. And like the good thing about this is that like it's a very low risk contract. So if things don't work out perfectly this year, sure, you wish you had signed someone else, but like it'll be pretty easy to get out of any deal that you signed him for, you know?
Yeah. And my impression of his interview with Rossini was that he was being a silly goose,
Right.
sort of being like, "Oh, I'll never say." But the
Yeah.
one line about, some people think I've done too much or something to that effect showed
Yeah.
that there might be some sort of disagreement or slight schism with the coaching or where he's fitting in. That's where he did open the door a little bit. Vrabel being pissy about it the next morning, like
Right.
again, that is also Vrabel's personality. So I don't want to make too big of a deal out of it, but I think there's some I don't know. The antennae are raised on Diggs
I
perhaps copping an attitude of some sort.
I also kind of think Vrabel wanted to do that. I don't know. Like it sort of felt like Vrabel just like wanted to stir up some shit, you
Well, it
know?
was also like, okay, my
He might
birthday,
be
who
losing it.
cares? Cake, who cares? I'm pissed that you're talking about my birthday and I'm going to yell at Phil now. Like, I don't think that's a big deal if that's the case.
Yeah, that's sort of what it felt like. But I mean, certainly still worth reading into. Um, there's some questions on defense right now, like Marcus Jones. I wasn't the biggest Marcus Jones.
Doug is entering a portal again. Oh boy. The Apple
Running with the second
Corporation. There you go. You're
now.
back. Hey, we
I'm
lost
gonna
you.
stop talking. Oh, okay.
You're,
So
you're,
there's some issues on defense as well. Can you hear me now?
yeah, you were on Marcus Jones, and then you entered a fifth dimension.
Okay, so yeah, I wasn't the biggest Marcus Jones coverage guy last year. The height issue was popping up again. Like, he's covering tight ends out there. It's just never going to work because they outweigh him by 100 pounds and they're a foot taller than him. Obviously, those are slight exaggerations, but not as much as they should be. Kyle Duggar is currently running with a second team defense. That was true even yesterday when Jabril Peppers was limited in practice. So you had Jalen Hawkins, Craig Woodson, and Del Pettis as your top safeties. I think that tells you how far Kyle Duggar's fallen down the depth chart, and the fact that, like, I don't know if he's long for this team at this point. So I don't know. I think Jalen Hawkins is fully buying in to everything that Mike Vrabel's saying. I think he's a great leader. I think he definitely was decent last year, but I think that going into the season, when you're like, okay, we know what Jabril Peppers is, we know what Kyle Duggar is, those are your starting safeties. Now, if Jalen Hawkins is suddenly one of your starting safeties, that probably lowers the overall potential of the defense a little bit. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and I saw the Del Pettis thing yesterday, and it's like, oh, that's something beyond just other guys outplaying you. That is
Right.
you're in a doghouse that you can't get out of. It feels like if you're Duggar.
And like, it's so he has a fully guaranteed salary this year, $9.75 million, and then he's got another $1 million due in per game roster bonuses. And there's no way in hell the Patriots can trade him because of those issues, because of that contract, and because of the fact that he was injured last year. So if they were to cut him, they still have to pay him all that money, and the best possible course of action for them would be for someone else to sign him to like a minimum deal, which would only offset like $1 million. So
Mhm.
I don't know. They're kind of on the hook for the contract. So in some ways, keeping him might be the best option because you have to pay him anyway. The only issue there is that, like, does that create awkwardness in the locker room? And does Kyle Duggar get unhappy that he's getting paid $10 million to sit on the bench? Like, I don't know. I guess he doesn't really have the right to get unhappy at that point. But what do you do with Kyle Duggar at this point?
What do I do?
Yeah,
I don't think you can cut him just to cut him. Especially, I mean, the money I don't care about. I'm not sympathetic to the money.
yeah,
Um, but again, you'd like to keep him around, and maybe it's up to him how he responds to what's going on now. But there is talent there. I don't deny that, and I think
yeah.
Vrabel probably, if you look at the tape, like there's things he does that you would think would align with Mike Vrabel wants from his defensive players. So I
Right,
think there is enough talent there to keep him. But if you keep him and he's fifth on the depth chart, I don't
right.
know what that's going to do. Like that, there is. I don't think you worry about the locker room dynamic largely because the locker room's turned over so much in the past
Yeah,
year, let alone 2 years, let alone 3 years.
yeah.
But it's definitely a tricky situation. I don't know. How do you? We don't know these guys. Like you don't really know them. But how do
Right.
you think Kyle Duggar is going to approach this? If it's one thing in August, but it's another if it's September and you're a healthy scratch and you haven't played the first 3 games. How do you think he might handle that?
He's a pretty mature guy. He's a pretty chill guy. I can't really envision him causing major issues. The one thing I will say is that, like, I can understand not wanting Jabril Peppers and Kyle Duggar to be your safeties. They're just very similar players, similar body types, similar athleticism. But if Jabril Peppers goes down with an injury, like, then you can use Kyle Duggar, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the argument for keeping him. The argument against it would be, does Mike Vrabel just think that Del Pettis is better? And, like, if Kyle Duggar goes down with an injury, is Pettis the next guy off the bench anyway? And if that's the
Right.
case, I think at that point you do just have to move on because it's not fair to just, like, keep a player on your roster because you have to pay him anyway. Like, give him another shot, give him another option.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that aspect is not great. I forgot who I was talking to, like Taylor Kyles, Evan Lazar, Brian Hines, a few other guys during practice, and we were
Bragg.
talking about we were talking about, I know, I got a lot of friends. But we were talking about Marcus Jones, and we were talking about covering tight ends
Mm-hmm.
and how the Patriots don't really currently have like an ideal player to cover tight ends. And I forgot who brought it up. It might have been Taylor, but like Alex Austin this offseason has had a really great training camp. He's been like he's looked like a starting caliber cornerback. And you already have Christian Gonzalez, and you've got Carlton Davis on the outside. Marcus Jones will probably be your slot cornerback. There's an argument that like Carlton Davis, that Alex Austin should also be on the field to be kind of like a tight end shut down player. The way that wasn't it like Bill Belichick tried to convince Aqib Talib to come out of retirement to cover tight ends.
Yeah.
And then he wound up drafting what's his name, Joanne Williams to do it, and that didn't work out.
Yeah.
I don't hate the idea of like using Alex Austin as like a slot safety hybrid as a man cover player against tight ends if
Yeah.
these issues keep arising, because like TJ Hawkinson was going off against the Patriots, and like of course he's going to go off against like I don't know, Jabril Peppers or Marcus Jones, these guys who aren't as good in coverage. But if he has to go up against like 6'1", 6'2", 200-pound Alex Austin, it might be a different story.
Yeah. I mean, and that's going back a ways. Like that was Chung 2.0, right? It was basically lock in on
Right.
tight
Yep.
ends,
Yep.
different defense. But yeah, I mean, Austin has something working in his advantage there, which is when you look at his height, it starts with a 6. So if you're
Yes, it's
saying
very true.
if you're saying they have Marcus Jones in that role, then like you don't need to say much more than that, because it is you
Yeah.
can box someone out and it's just too easy. You need to present some sort of resistance there. So I'm with you there. And just to like
Marcus Jones is very sticky in coverage, but like I always come back to it. Like when you're 5'8", it doesn't matter sometimes because someone could just
yeah,
like reach over you. Yeah.
right. He can live in the tight end's belt and then they can
Right.
just throw it high and the hand's there, but it's above his hand and it's caught. So good
Right.
teams will take advantage. Is that something that is beyond Duggar's capabilities if he needs a role?
I think at this point it might be because he doesn't look full speed. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
look as like I think it could potentially be in like Craig Woodson or Jalen Hawkins' capabilities,
Mm.
because they are faster players. But I don't think it's Duggar's role. I don't
What
think
do you
that's yeah.
Did he get old? I mean, he's 29. He was drafted old, so you get old fast. But
Yeah.
the reason I say the talent was because I put a lot of stock in those ESPN panels of 70 coaches, players, executives.
Right.
And he was one of very few Patriots to actually make the list in 2024. He didn't make it this year because he had a bad season, but he was on the list of players that could make it on a bounce back type season. So it's not as if the league said, oh, he's done and washed and cooked. But the Patriots are kind of broadcast, or at least Mike Vrabel's, new regime is broadcasting that now. Great point by me. Again, just anytime I can leave you speechless, it means I nailed it. I'm staring at you. I don't think you can hear me. Welcome to Late Nights with Mike Hurley, staring at Doug in the car. Oh, he hit a button. This one didn't work out as well as the last car one. You there?
I'm back. So I think that Kyle Duggar obviously age is a factor, but also the fact that he played through a high ankle sprain all of last year or tried to, and then had surgery. I think he had surgery. It plays a factor, and it slows guys down. And sometimes they're not ready. Sometimes they are never going to be the same. And hopefully Kyle Duggar is going to be the same at some point. But like, he wasn't great last year. Didn't have the best season in 2023. Hasn't really had like a vintage Kyle Duggar season since 2022. So it might just be, unfortunately, where he is at this point.
Yeah. We might have to have a conversation, I guess, about Elliott Wolf at some point, based on all of
Right.
the last year's draft and
Yeah.
last year's re-signings. Might not be great. That one perhaps being the biggest one. I mean, there were a couple good finds in there, like Austin Hooper and Antonio Gibson were good additions, but there was all of the re-signings, the team basically locking in Stevenson, Duggar basically saying these are our guys, and then here we are.
Tavai.
There was a number of re-signings last year that made everyone mad at the time because like you're a 4-win team, and why are you re-signing everyone? And it
Well,
looks as
it made the Belichick fans happy because it was like, oh, you're just re-signing all Belichick's guys.
yeah, but
But yeah, like the Owenu signing, I think will still pan out, but like Duggar obviously hasn't. Stevenson, we'll see how that goes. Tavai has not
Jennings,
worked out. Jennings is
Uche,
working with backups. Uche, that was very small money.
Bourne.
Still, yeah, Bourne. That was another one that was like kind of small money, but yeah, it was like almost none of them have panned out. And I think that we did have some of those thoughts at the time, like this was not a good team. Why are you bringing everyone back? But I think it helped Gerard Mayo at the time because it was like, well, these guys, I know who these guys are. I know they'll fit into the system. Um, and I don't want to blame Gerard Mayo for it, obviously. Like,
Well, I think there's a difference.
probably
The
more to do with
difference
Elliot Wall. Yeah.
There's a clear difference in a head coach who knows what he wants and knows how to get it and is able to impose that on the front
Right.
office. Whereas Mayo seemed to be like, oh, I don't know who's going to be on my coaching staff. I don't know who's going to be like, whatever you
Right.
guys do, I'll go coach the team. So Vrabel obviously has much more hands-on approach. And I think that's why you've seen such a big turnover and why you see a guy that should be, I don't say like given a starting spot, but you would think he would just be by nature in that spot, and now is all the way down the depth chart in Kyle Duggar.
Yeah, 100%. I think this could be a shorter podcast because we're going to do another podcast after the preseason game. But yeah, I mean, Trevion Henderson had a big play. I thought Javon Baker had good practices. Efton Chisholm, I'm like, uh, I'm ready to pull that pen to write his name into the 53-man roster. I'm throwing away the pencil. You lost me again. Damn it, didn't you?
No, you were talking kind of like a Daft Punk song. You're like, Efton Chisholm, I am ready. Sign him with a pen. So I heard you're gonna put a pen in Efton Chisholm.
Yeah. I'm going to put a pen to paper about Efton Chisholm. I'm ready to write his name in the 53-man roster. Throwing away that pencil. He's looking great out there. Like in 1-on-1, 7-on-7s, like no one's getting open easier than he is. So he had more great joint practices. Trying to just run through things before we get out of here and I stop losing service. I really messed up, by the way. I should have just taken the highway because I think that usually you have service on the highway. Instead, I went by the GPS and I'm doing back roads. And like, turns out that like Dover doesn't have the best service, you know?
Is that a town in Massachusetts?
It is. It's a town in Massachusetts.
Dover Sherborne. I've heard of the high school. So it's near Sherborne, which is another town in Massachusetts. So
another town probably doesn't have the greatest service, I'm going to say.
I don't know if I did this during our car podcast, but there's just no excuse in the year 2025 to be in civilization and not have cell phone service. Like it's not a luxury
it's truly
anymore.
Crazy. I agree.
Like there's an intersection on 3A where Woburn turns into Burlington. Both are clearly suburban towns. You are not in the city. I get it. But you are not rural. You are not way out in the country. You're in Woburn and Burlington. Phones do not work for like a half-mile stretch. And it's maddening because it's not a luxury anymore. That's how people do everything. Literally everything. And it's like, why does it not work here? I'm not as you might imagine, smart person who understands science and technology, but I know my phone works everywhere else except for there, and it makes me real cranky.
There's a stretch on 140 in Rentham where I just have no service for like a mile or two, and it's like this is a major road in a suburban town. There's an outlet mall there. Like I think that you can figure out service. No, I'm right there with you. It's obnoxious. Let's talk a little bit about.
We got a question that before we move on to silly. Connor McNally said, who do you think is going to step up on the edge this season outside of White? I liked what Jennings did last year.
Well, Jennings might not even be on the team. Caleb Von Chason has had a really good camp. Harold Landry has been looking like a savvy veteran. So I think they're in pretty good shape on the edge. then I could definitely see. Obviously, Braden Swinson, the rookie, will be on the roster. I think Truman Jones and Elijah Ponder will be as well. So they'll have some depth there. But the big three there are going to be Landry, Chase On, and White. And then Milton Williams will also play on the edge at times because he's definitely a much lighter body. He's like 280.
All right. And our other comment was from Alex saying, "Hi, Mike." I think that's when I was talking to myself. So I appreciate
Oh, probably.
someone popping in to converse with me because
He was your co-podcaster at that point.
for like a minute and a half, I lived the dream of being the solo Pats Chat host.
Yeah.
There was a stretch during COVID. I hosted a solo hour-long show
Yeah.
in my basement. I don't know if I ever
Oh,
had you
yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
It was
Well, I'm the one who I think I got you that gig.
That's right. And so you were my first guest. That's right.
Yeah.
And I was like, boy, do I need guests? Because around minute 18 of talking to yourself, you're like, 42 minutes left. All right. No commercial breaks, no water breaks.
Joe Murray deserves all the praise that anyone could possibly heap on him to do a one-man show every night. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, I did his show the other night and we were doing all football. And I was like, listen, Joe, I listen to your show a lot. So I think I can sneak this in. I have to tell you about my ice cream experience tonight. And I told him that I had the girls order ahead of know what they want ahead of time. And then I looked at the website and it had a flight of ice cream, 6 scoops for $10. And I'm like, well, because I struggle with decision making at the ice creams. Like,
Yeah.
you always make the wrong decision, you know? So I got 6
Yeah.
flavors, split it with my wife and baby. And it was like, oh, it was great. I want to go back.
Crescent Ridge has a flight. I do that sometimes. There's a place in Los Angeles called Handles that has like a sample for ice cream sample. That's huge. I love that. I'm glad that that's becoming a more regular thing because you don't only want one flavor. Also, you want to see what's the best. You know,
right? And they're so different. Like you could get a really rich, decadent, chocolatey, caramelly one, or you could get like a goofy. I don't do this, but you get like cotton candy or like blue raspberry or whatever. Like you could go really off the wall, and sometimes you want both.
You can get really wonky with it. So I was in Minnesota. You and I spent a week living at the Mall of America. I went to the Mall of America. I want to relive some of the glory days.
So one of my highlights of a week in a mall in Minnesota was eating at the Mexican restaurant at a shopping mall in Minnesota. I felt like authentic Mexican. Finally, I got to taste what it tastes like. And it was in the middle of the winter too, in like January, February. That's when the authentic Mexican in the mall in Minnesota is great. So what stood out to you?
Well, I was only there for about an hour, but what stood out to me was that this is no place to host a Super Bowl. I will say that Minnesota in the summer, a lot more pleasant than Minnesota in February. That's for sure.
Remember we went downtown and went to like the Kitten Bowl.
Yeah.
And just being downtown at that time of year, not nice at all. Thumbs down.
No. Yeah, it's like barely recognizable. Minnesota, one thing I didn't love, lots of traffic in Minnesota. And like around rush hour, for some reason, driving into the city, there's like even more traffic than driving out of it. I don't really understand. I don't know if people live in Minnesota and work in the suburbs or something. I guess like having a second major city right next door in St. Paul probably doesn't help, you know?
Yeah, I experienced that this summer when I was driving from Milwaukee to Chicago. There's really nothing between the two cities except farmland and whatnot. And it was a pretty slow drive at like 3:30. I guess it was like 4:30. So technically rush hour, but I wasn't anticipating that because again, you're going into the city. It was eye-opening. I just assume everywhere has better traffic situations than us because in Massachusetts you can't go anywhere at any time. But it turns out everything sucks everywhere, so just deal with it.
I'm just going to pull over and park for the last few minutes of the podcast. So, hello, everyone.
Well, now we do baseball stadium review.
So, yeah, I went to a Twins game. I have a friend that was able to get some tickets from, so that was great. Real shot to the ego, though. He gave me 6 tickets. I asked for 5. He gave me 6 and was like, oh, in case you find another friend. Do you think we found another friend?
I don't think so.
No. And part of it was I couldn't really invite one person so I would have had to invite like 3 and we didn't have, but still, it was fun. my take about baseball games, and I know I kind of said this after the Mariners game that I went to in Seattle.
Too fast.
We're at the point where it's too fast.
It's too
Like
fast.
so this game, it went into extra innings, which helped. But like if it had been over in regulation, the game would have been 2 hours long,
Mm-hmm.
which at that point, and obviously this isn't the case for us, we were able to go for free. But like if you're paying like $100 to go to an event, it can't be 2 hours long. Like
Yeah.
it has to be like a 3 hour
Well, you
experience.
went. It was 11 innings, and it was 2 hours and 49 minutes official game time.
Yeah, if it had ended and things were happening, yeah, it would have been like 2 hours and 20 minutes, 2 hours and 10 minutes, something like that, if it was over in 9 innings.
And
Like
it's like, well, first of all, I'm wearing my Paw Sox jersey, a Nomar exclusive.
I'm wearing my
I
Twins hat.
I attended a Red Sox Yankees Saturday afternoon Fox game. Josh Beckett versus CC Sabathia.
Yeah.
I don't know that either starter made it out of the fourth. That game was probably 37 hours long. So that's one extreme, but you are too fast now. Like I went to Chicago, as
It's
I
too
just
fast
said.
now.
My friend and I travel from opposite ends of the country, meet in the middle, go to a game. Our first night at Wrigley, first pitch at 7:05. I believe it was the sixth inning before 8 o'clock. And it was like, I want to see the baseball game. Like I'm not in a like, so I
Yeah.
don't know how you fix that. Just I don't know if it's the strikeouts. I don't know if it's the not just the pitch clock, but the style
It
of baseball being played.
I think it's the pitch clock plus pitchers are too good. But like so I went straight from practice to the game. And one other thing, this is very specific in Minnesota, but like I paid for a parking garage ahead of time to be like, I'm gonna park. I was gonna make this as easy as possible. The parking garage,
Mm.
the entrance is a exit off the highway. Do you think that that's a smart move? Do you think that that is the easiest, simplest way? No, the answer is no. Because like if you're exiting off the highway and part of the process of getting through is to like take a ticket or pay or do all like this is not so I was sitting in traffic just waiting to get into the garage for like 30 minutes. So I was also like kind of late to the game. And
Mm.
then once you're late to the game, then it's like, I don't want this game to be over in an hour.
We just lost Doug again. Doug has disappeared again. I'm going to say it's a battery this time. I think his battery died, but I don't think. Oh, he's back. It was not the
That
battery.
that one was on me. I accidentally hit the back button on my browser.
Damn, I thought the battery died, and I was like, all right, well, how about that? No, but no, that
So
was
that was annoying.
designed by a moron. We can say, no offense to whoever
So
designed it.
you've never been to the Twins Park, right?
Correct.
Okay. So when you're when you're around Target Field, you're like, how in God's name did they fit a baseball park here? Because
Let me
it
get a
is
Google Maps up.
bordering Target Center, which is where the T-Wolves play. It is bordering highways. It is bordering like it
Hmm.
the
Yeah,
footprint yeah.
is that the basketball stadium like literally abutting the outfield that I'm looking
Yes.
at?
And there's a highway directly next to the field as well. So me being the nerd that I am was like, this feels very small. It has a footprint of 8 acres, and most baseball stadiums, most baseball fields have a footprint of like 15 to 20 acres.
Wow.
So that really did make me feel a lot better about myself to be like, this feels cramped. It's a very like, it's a high stadium. They like built it up rather than
Yeah.
out, which makes it feel like, I don't know, it makes it feel, I don't know. It's like,
Yeah.
it feels small. It's a good park. I like it a lot, but
So
it's
I've done
unique.
some Googling.
Yeah.
Fenway Park, 9 acres.
Okay.
And it says Target Field 8.5. Is that what you said?
8. Yeah. 8.
8.5. So yeah, so it's, I mean, Fenway is from a different era of human civilization.
Yeah. Fenway was built in 1912.
So the fact that a brand new, relatively stadium, yeah, no, it never looked small on TV. I would have never even thought of that. But
Like it is interesting because like it's it has like plenty of attendance and everything, but like there's like 4 or 5 different levels. It's built up, which like does make you feel closer to the field. You're just high up. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice. It's cool.
Also, us being coastal elites, we figure like, oh, it's the Midwest. There's endless amounts of room to fit anything you want out there. But that's just us being ignoramuses.
I mean, first of all, there is, but still, like I think they just didn't want to move it to St. Paul or to like Egan. You know,
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Also, is it near where the Metrodome was?
it's not the same footprint. I think if anything, the football field would be, because for 2 years they played at the University of Minnesota, so they probably like tore down the Metrodome, then put U.S. Bank Stadium where the Metrodome was. That would be my guess.
Oh, okay. Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll say this: if we're doing Minneapolis stadiums, I know you're not going to be there tomorrow. That football stadium is a gem.
Yeah.
Just
No, it's great. Yeah.
one of the coolest places I've ever been, sports wise.
No, I agree with you. Um, but otherwise, yeah, Minneapolis was a good time. It's
All
much.
right.
I would recommend going there in August, not February. I think we've established that.
What's
Great
there like?
facility. Really amazing facility.
I've heard. What's their
It's
like?
huge.
What's their claim to fame? Like, you go to Green Bay, you eat cheese. Like, what do you do in Minneapolis in the
You
summer?
like also eat cheese curds.
Uh,
There's not a lot. There's like it's like they have chips. They have like a certain brand of chips called like Old Dutch. They were
Huge.
fine. They have like a certain candy bar that I forgot what it was called, but I tried one of those. It was fine. So like it is. It's the Mall of America. I think essentially. It's
That's
in
tough.
10,000 lakes. You
It's the
know.
SpongeBob roller coaster, which is legit, but you can pretty much
Yeah.
go on it at Canopy Lake Park on Untamed. It's the same coaster, I'm pretty sure. So you
Yeah.
don't need to go all the way there for that. All right, so I probably won't go, but I appreciate your advice and tips on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I have a topic here for the end of our podcast, unless you got
Sure.
to run.
No, we can do one more topic.
You are a user of X, the Everything app, right?
Yes.
Has the For You tab taken over your scrolling more so than your following list?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
And like it's a lot of rage bait,
Yeah.
obviously. I so you know the people who will like do the threads and be like, and this is what happened at the end, and then like get you to scroll down and like read more stuff. Have those people no shame.
No, they don't.
Imagine being one of those people who does that.
I know. And it's like, if you do it just to get your check from Twitter every month, then I guess you do what you got to do. But my
It's
issue is
just
like,
so corny. I don't know.
it's like Twitter used to be more functional because you could go to your following tab, you could catch up on things, and then you could go
Yeah.
about your life. But now they grab you, and you're like, well, I want to
Yeah.
read some more tweets, and it's like, I don't care about it. But anyways, the For You tab, I don't think I'm alone, has really imposed upon my life. And unfortunately, this week, the Taylor Swift situation has, I think she did a deal with Elon, because I literally keep tapping like not interested. And I'm not a Taylor Swift hater. You know that about
Right.
me. I enjoy
Yep.
a lot of her music, not maybe the more recent stuff because it's boring, but like I'm not one of those like, oh, I'm a man, I can't like Taylor Swift. I just, the tweets about her are some of the
Mhm.
dumbest
Oh
things
yeah.
put
Yeah.
forth by any human beings. Like, I don't think these people have ever heard of a boyfriend and a girlfriend before,
Right.
or anything, or the genius ways she's teased this album over, and it's like not interested, and it just keeps coming back. I think the more you click not interested in this, the more you get of it.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
100%.
I smell like she didn't need to pay Elon to force feed it into people like my Twitter feeds, but
Yeah.
I swear to God, she probably spent $1 million to get more into, because I can't escape it. And again, not a hater, just don't care to see fans from around the world gawk at the fact that she like said the color blue while looking left, which means some sort of nonsense BS. Like, I can't take it.
So my wife is a huge Taylor Swift fan, and I've complained about these tweets and stuff
Hmm.
before, because like they turn like, and once again, not a Taylor Swift hater, appreciate her work, she does very good. They'll like take very mundane things that she does and turn them into these like oh my god, I can't believe that like she is able to like change her outfit, then get back on stage, or like I can't believe that she can like be distracted on stage and keep performing. It's like, well, that's her job. I don't
I
know.
can't
Like,
believe she rhymed
yeah,
car with bar for the
ru-
13th time.
and like
13.
so, but my wife like told me something very important with this is she was like, keep in mind that some of these people are literally like 13 years old. So like,
Okay,
but that doesn't mean that I have to see them, you know?
but
And
it's
that's
also
your
like,
point.
okay, maybe you started out that way, but maybe you're 26 now and you got to
That is
stop
true too.
doing that.
Yeah.
And you've just
Right.
got to
Yeah.
stop. And honestly, no, keep doing it, but it shouldn't show up on my feed. Like, I don't care what you, whatever.
Right.
Imagine, Doug, if someone were to come in as a third person on this podcast and read any of my tweets aloud, I'd be like, oof. So it's not even doing it. Like, do whatever you want, but
Yeah.
it should not be interfering with my life. And it makes me upset. And I got to get, that's something I have to deal with.
All right. So I'm gonna go. This podcast will need to be edited a little bit more than usual, so we'll figure that out.
I don't know.
Um,
We are authentic. We are like,
it's true. Yeah, how did you do filling space, filling time?
I did all right. I think maybe one of them I was a little. I wouldn't say I wouldn't give myself like a C, but on the other ones
Okay.
I think I was a solid B, B plus, MC, sort of like.
Okay,
And
then we're uploading as is,
yeah,
warts and all. We'll be back tomorrow, I think, to talk about
plugged
the
in,
preseason game.
plugged
So you
in.
better listen to this one fast.
Yeah, tell your friends. Let's
Yep.
pump some numbers. We did before we close. Someone was taunting us in the comments saying Brock Purdy's way better than May, and everyone would agree. And then he was taunting us saying we're ignoring him. It's true. We were
Oh.
scared. We were scared to address that comment personally. So you win. We lose. Brock
L-
Purdy, probably MVP, I would say.
LT, no offense, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I think the Niners are in for a rough year, personally, but we'll see.
Okay, well, I'm gonna get home to my family. I will talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Bye.